And welcome to Strength-Based Marketing. I've got a question for you. Are you on all of these sites? Now, I'm going to read them here. Facebook, YouTube, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, WeChat, Instagram, QQ, QZone, Sina Weibo, Reddit, and there's only like 1,000 other social media sites that you could participate in. My question is, why? Why would you want to be on all of those? Why would you want to spend all of your time, unless you're a social media marketer? Why would you want to spend that much time on that much stuff, these different communities? And yet we're in a social world. The way that many of us connect, period. Some of us get our news. Some of us get our friends. Some of us have never known these people. We're good friends. Yeah, we're best friends. We're besties on 5 different platforms out there. And you think, oh, I know these people, right? My
Mhm.
guest today, Irene Krasnoff, has the answer. You see, she's been doing this for longer than most of us have been on social media. She has been at the top of the industry working with CEOs and CIOs and these companies around the country, helping them get their best, deliver their best, get real results, rather than being like in a pool with 1,000 other people just splashing like crazy trying to get attention. These folks were getting results. Are you getting results? Hey, Irene, welcome to the show, and thank you for being on Strength-Based Marketing.
Thank you so much, Patrick, for having me. What a wonderful way to start the show. There's, like you said, no shortage of social media platforms. And as a social media marketer, let me tell you, I am not in every single platform. I would go insane if I were.
I totally get that, but I
Yes.
want to know a little bit more about your story, because you've worked
Mm-hmm.
in the platforms that are at
Mm-hmm.
the top 1% of companies in America and probably in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And how did you get from, what's your origin story?
Sure. I will start with my story. So, when I graduated with my MBA, Facebook was just beginning and it was hardly on my radar. I would say Twitter was more on my radar, and it was just there for fun, 140 character stuff, what I'm doing. Now, when I went to IBM, social media was still off my radar because we were focused on working with clients face to face. And because my role was in sales, we talked a lot about the total customer experience. That has been something that has never faded away. We go from one technology to the next, but the total customer experience will never, ever, ever disappear. It started with the first mom and pop shop. It started with the first department store, the first big grocery store. And here we are in social media, and that principle still applies. And if you use that principle in social media, I can pretty much guarantee you that you're going to get the results you're looking for. And the key results that most people in social media are looking for, aside from the ROI, because if I'm talking to a company, you're looking at, okay, what's the return on my investment in social media marketing? I will tell you that that dollar ROI will follow after you fulfill the engagement and also the brand awareness, and most important of all, content that attracts attention. You alluded to this earlier, Patrick, that social media is a very noisy world. Everyone is posting content. On average, in all the social media platforms combined, if you look at it from a global perspective, there's more than 30 billion pieces of content that crosses on all news feeds across all social media platforms every minute. So how are you going to stand out? And I should have put this cat down. She likes to join podcasts. But so that's my story. How did I evolve into social media? I didn't touch on that. I evolved into social media for one reason that most women are confronted with when they hit the 30s and 40s, and that is to start a family. And my desire to have a baby, to be with my baby, catapulted me into entrepreneurship. And in order to get noticed from home without having to go to an office, I had to pick, I had to figure out social media pretty quickly. And that happened in 2012. So from 2005 to 2012, I ended up in social media and I had to learn everything from scratch. And I did that within 4 years while changing diapers, while chasing after a toddler, and while being on the phone with CEOs in small and mid sized businesses. And because I did it as a mom, I strongly believe any working professional can do this. Any company, large or small, can do it. And that's what I want to talk about in your show today, Patrick.
It's great. It's great. In fact, let's go there. I think about what are you doing to create the success for your clients that
Mm-hmm.
they want, and so that they can validate
Mm-hmm.
the expense and the time invested in the social
Mm-hmm.
media environment.
Mm-hmm. So, whether you are a small business, a solopreneur, or a large company, we go back to the basics. We go back to what have you been doing in your marketing, because it's all about your marketing mix. So, you got to use both offline and online marketing. And now that was pre COVID. And now we're in this coronavirus crisis. So now majority of our efforts are in the online realm. And several brick and mortar businesses, in order to survive, have to transition into social media. So that's where we revisit and talk about your brand. Very critical to revisit your brand, because if you're not revisiting your brand, then you are going to quickly become irrelevant, because we have an audience who's fickle. We have new generations, from the millennials, we're going to Gen Z, and then, before you know it, we'll be on to the next gen. So you have got to revisit your brand and be relevant to the changing generations and changing trends. And as you know, coronavirus is defining the next normal. We're already in the next normal and we're shaping the next normal. That also applies to social media and your brand. So that's where we start off with. I typically start off with everyone. Tell me about your business brand. Who are you serving? What value you're offering? And why should your ideal clients care? We we start with that specific question. Why should they care? The choices are limitless. So why you? That's what we go with fundamentally. And that why you leads to the personal brand. So we all are the face of our business. If you are the CEO of a major corporation, you are the face of your corporation. If you are the CEO of a large company, same thing. Small business, same thing. Solopreneur, that's it. You are the brand. So that's where we start off with. And we also start off with the premise that social media is about stories. Your business has a story. I don't care who you are, you have a story. It's how you tell the story. You can tell your story professionally in LinkedIn and still create that corporate presence. For example, the CEO of Southwest Airlines, Gene Kelly, does it all the time. He tells the story of his business, of Southwest Airlines. He speaks in real terms, the struggles his business is going through. And he's a CEO of a highly successful corporation. You got small businesses sharing stories about how their products transformed lives. And as a solopreneur, as an unknown entity, you owe it to yourself to tell your personal story. I started out as an unknown entity and accumulated my fans. And so that's where I start off. How do you go from unknown to known? And that means getting in touch with yourself, your brand, your business brand, and your stories. When you do those three things, you will start seeing results within 30 days. That's
So I got a
the
question for
system.
you.
Mm-hmm.
I got a question for you. So you went from unknown entity, kind of the UKI,
Mm-hmm.
and to someone who is uh, ever present with the social media marketing
Mm-hmm.
name and arena. And I would imagine that you had some steps that you took
Mm-hmm.
to create a message, to create an
Mm-hmm.
impact, to build a tribe, as they call it today, and
Yes.
build your authority. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
started my TV show and the podcast with one intention, to build authority for the guests that I
Mm-hmm.
have on the show, because this allows you to tell your story. What are some of the
Mm-hmm.
steps that you took that began to build your authority and your
Mm-hmm.
influence in those that you were able to touch?
Yes, I took every principle I learned from IBM and from business school to do the due diligence of market research. And basically, what that meant was observing influencers within social media. And you can easily find them. When you look into your LinkedIn newsfeed, for example, look at who's getting the most engagement. For instance, Gary Vaynerchuk. He's a great example. We all know him, right? So look at what he's doing. Observe what he's doing. How does he communicate his message? What is his style? And then you ask yourself, okay, so he has his style. Obviously, I can't be the next Gary V. And then you figure out what your style is, and that's what you use. And then you look at different influencers and with their different styles, and that will give you an idea of how to attract attention. People like unique. And when you're communicating, keep in mind that if you are a Gen Xer or you are a traditionalist, and we have a multi generational workforce because thanks to technology and thanks to great health, a lot of us are in the workforce longer than we thought we would be. And so you gotta assume a personality that's very informal, and you gotta appeal across generations. So think about how you can leverage your personality to do that, and always be your true authentic self. So that's something that I learned just by sitting back and observing how people are attracting attention. And you alluded to this, Patrick, and that is to find your tribe or community. And that means taking a look at who do you want to attract, because you got to be very focused. There's about, on an average in Facebook, there are 1 billion users monthly using the platform actively. So who are you going to focus on? Who do you resonate with, and observe who resonates with you? And the best way to do that is by taking an action, because clarity comes with action. So once you start posting video, audio, inspirational stuff, infographics, all the variety of content that is out there, you'll be able to tell who engages with you and what type of content engages. And you just simply have to build from there. All it is just consistent presence and knowing what you're passionate about and what problems you have to solve. Use that into the mix, and I can guarantee you, you will get results in social media, but focus on one platform and do that really well, or at most two platforms. And all the rest of the social media platforms that resonate with you, use it as a way to just spread the word. That's my system, and I learned it just by pure observation.
So a couple of things that come to mind. And
Mm-hmm.
first, I wonder, who are some of the people that you have found to be the ones you've followed, and then The second part of this is that it sounds like it takes a lot of time. Most business owners are working, well, their hours of operations tend to be those they're awake. You get
Mm-hmm.
the point from wake up to go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Who are some of your favorites, and then follow that with the how to save time, so that
Mm-hmm.
all you're doing is creating content, but you're not doing your work.
Yeah, that is an excellent question. My favorites have evolved over time. So when I was the quote unquote mom entrepreneur, my favorites tended to be moms who built $1 million businesses. For example, Kimra Luna, and she had blue hair back then, and now she has purple hair, and her business has evolved. So I followed her, and then through her, I ran into, well, not literally, but in social media, Gary Vaynerchuk. So I followed him, and I still continue to follow him. Now, because I'm very business minded and I have the corporate sort of persona, so to speak, I tend to follow Damon John a lot. He resonates with me from the perspective of being an African American entrepreneur. And as a minority entrepreneur, I resonate with that. And he's highly successful. So I tend to follow him. And the people I tend to follow are folks also who are my big competitors. For instance, Marie Smith, and she is in Facebook. I follow her a lot because she has an in with Facebook. She knows the latest in Facebook and she provides updates. So I tend to follow her a lot. And then it's just varies. Ryan Dice is another one from Digital Marketer.
I know
Yep.
Ryan well.
Yeah. Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
So it aligns mostly with what I'm doing and also with folks I admire. And that's been my trend. Now, what was the other part of the question?
The other part is just it sounds like a lot of time.
Yeah.
Your business is social media marketing. My
Mm-hmm.
business is not social media marketing, uh,
Mm-hmm.
yet I use it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
What are some hacks that you've seen that you
Mm-hmm.
teach your clients that can reduce the time so
Mm-hmm.
that they're not spending, I mean, Gary Vee has a marketing team,
Exactly.
clips of his stuff, and posts it 86 times a week. Awesome.
Right.
It's,
Yeah.
it's just me, or it's me and 10 people,
Yeah.
maybe 20.
Mm-hmm.
What can those business owners do to
Yeah.
build their influence and
Mm-hmm.
to do it in a way that's quick?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So whether it's just you and the business or you and 2 to 10 or 20 employees, what I would do is start off from what you plan to sell. So any good business owner has a monthly sales plan at bare minimum. I would hope that you do. So take a look at your monthly sales plan. And then for any given week, focus on what 1 or 2 things are you selling. That's what's going to drive your content. Then look at your repository of content, whether there's video, whether there's blog posts, whether there's social media posts, and see if any of that is relevant to what you're selling. You can take existing content and repurpose it. That will save you a ton of time. Now, if you have to create brand new content, which will inevitably happen because concept change and things change, I would say set aside a day that's just purely devoted to content. It could either be a Friday or a Sunday. And you just batch create content. And then you can use a scheduler like Buffer. Facebook has this inbuilt scheduler, or Hootsuite or anything else for LinkedIn and the other platforms, and schedule things out. But I would say at the end of the day, stop it and check into your platforms. to make sure that the content is relevant and to see if you need to tweak things before it goes out. And then I would say devote an hour in the morning and an hour in the afternoon to stop and engage with the content and to monitor what's going on. You shouldn't take more than 2 hours a day with your social media if you have a plan and if you leverage existing content. Unless you're a brand new business, you should have tons of content that you can draw from. You can take a 20-minute video from a podcast, edit it down to 2-minute snippets, and there you have it. You got 20 pieces of content. And that would take about an hour or two to do. But I would say it's about time management and having a plan. And when you do those two things together and you have a designated day, I think that will help with the stress of spending too much time on social media or feeling like you're constantly there and your focus isn't on your true money making activities.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've done for years with the TV show and with
Mm-hmm.
the different interviews. I love to do interviews because I want to connect with really bright people. It
Mm-hmm.
creates a synergy, which is awesome. But then to take that and create it in 30 minutes and then cut it
Mm-hmm.
into several pieces so that
Mm-hmm.
then the guest on the show or my clients can actually begin to utilize
Mm-hmm.
that as well. One of the big mistakes though, and tell me if you've seen this, is that either you or someone creates content and then the client doesn't use it. If you get a tool, the
Mm-hmm.
one thing I would encourage you to do, and tell me, Irene, if this is so, but is to repost it. I mean, don't just, you mentioned go back and look, and I think brilliant, reuse things
Mm-hmm.
that were engaging. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you encourage people to do that. And if so, about how often would you reuse a piece of video?
That is a really good question. And I would say as often as possible in different social media platforms. So,
Ah,
yeah. And I would say if I would budget about posting 6 times in that same platform at different times, because not everyone's going to see the content, and organic reach is very unpredictable. It's just who knows what Facebook's going to show you, or LinkedIn and all the other platforms. So choose different times, different platforms, and you can change or tweak a video so that it looks like different content. I mean, you can add a border, you can add, and I would say add the transcript there because the video plays silently and you want people to read along and to say, ooh, I gotta watch it. So think about those things and think about how you can tweak something slightly instead of just straight sharing, because you don't want the same people seeing the same thing over and over again, because that's going to happen, because when people engage with their post, they're going to see your content.
so
So
what I'm hearing though is I just want to make sure that the audience and then make sure I'm actually hearing it correctly is that if you take a piece and you post it, well,
mhm,
maybe you post it on a Monday afternoon, but the
mhm,
next time you post it, maybe a week later, you actually are posting on maybe a Wednesday afternoon or a Friday afternoon when there's kind of spikes in
mhm,
the social media attendance, if I can put it
mhm.
that way. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I'm also saying that if you are posting within, let's say, Facebook, for example, and you're sharing content from your Facebook business page into a Facebook group that you post on 6 times a day, then I would say tweak the content and put a different spin to it. But if it's a straight different day or a straight different content, then go ahead and repost, but then post according to the terminology of that platform. For example, the Instagram language. Hashtags are huge in Instagram. So post your content and add hashtags. LinkedIn, from Facebook to LinkedIn, speak LinkedIn language. How would you resonate with professionals? So that's what I'm saying, is just be mindful of your audience and the platform, and be mindful of how often you're posting in that specific platform that you're sharing into.
That's beautiful. So I guess I'd want to know, you said that you work with small to medium sized businesses. If you were to really say, you know, these are the people that really get me, who
Mm-hmm.
would that be? Who's your ideal client?
My ideal client are two. One is the person who's starting a business brand new, and the business is it. They're serious about it because A, they just got laid off, or B, they are a stay-at-home mom looking to get back into the professional world, and they are going to do everything to apply everything I'm teaching them. And they're also willing to invest in their business, whether that's Facebook ads or whether that's hiring a coach or a consultant. That's one category. The other category are established business owners that have hit a plateau. They've been making six figures consistently for 5 years, and now it's time to bump it up to the seven-figure realm. They just need the help with social media to do that. That they're my ideal clients as well because they're completely driven. They're going to be consistent, and they're not going to complain 6 months later that I didn't get results, because you will get results when you're consistent.
That's beautiful. So if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, I know you have your Facebook group.
Mm-hmm.
Can anyone join your Facebook group? How does that work? And what is it?
Okay, my Facebook group, Total Digital Transformation, is a group of entrepreneurs from different backgrounds, both men and women, different demographics, different revenue level. And so there's three qualifying questions in order to join the group. And this basically centers around your social media platform and what you're wanting to gain from there. A little bit of market research on my end. That group contains a mix of free and paid training. Also has a bunch of thought-provoking inspirational quotes and other statements designed to make you think differently. My whole objective is to provoke you to think differently. So if you type in total digital transformation, you'll find that group. It'll pop up under my Hebrew name, Rivka Krasnoff. That's Rivkah, Krasnoff. The other way to get a hold of me is through LinkedIn, Irene Krasnoff. And I'm super active in LinkedIn. And you can either message me or you can start following me. And when you do follow me, one of the things that I make a note of doing is I do check out your profile, and I will connect with you, or I'll follow you in return and engage with your content. So
Beautiful.
I'm easy to be found.
And I know that folks, you know, her website is actually on the screen next to her
Yes,
name. So now go ahead and say that, pronounce that for us so that I don't
yes.
screw it up.
It's Sapphire Management Group LLC, and sapphire is Hebrew for sapphire. It's my favorite stone. It's the stone
Nice.
that got me engaged.
He whipped out a sapphire and you went, oh, you got me.
Yeah. Yes. Of course, I dropped a lot of hints. I mean, that
I
goes without saying.
I believe it. Well, Irene, I love this. I so appreciate your time today, and folks, I encourage you, you know, join her group, follow her, begin to learn
Mhm.
some key tips on ways that you can create more engagement, because
Mhm.
we're in the realm now where there's this shift. Corona has really shifted everything.
Mhm.
This is the new reality. I don't know, even if we get a vaccine, how quickly things will shift back to wanting to go out and shake hands and kiss babies. You know, I
Exactly.
don't know, but I do know that this is something that we all can engage in, and I hope you do. This is
Mhm.
Pat Dewar, strength-based marketing, always trying to give you information. But folks, information is not power. Information with implementation creates transformation. People that take action get results. Thanks again, folks. Thanks again, Irene, and we'll see y'all next time.
Thank you for having me.